Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and I can't start today's show without talking about the ISO 10002. You know, some people just love to complain, but companies have a responsibility to care. The International Organization for Standardization, ISO, has revised ISO 10002, the standard for complaint handling. This document enables organizations to foster a customer-focused environment open to feedback, heightening their customer satisfaction. You can get the ISO 10002 standard from the American National Standards Institute, ANSI, the U.S. member body of ISO. Visit ANSI.org/complain to learn more. That's ANSI.org/complain to learn more. Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special primetime edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 12 years now, we've been asking the Frantrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show this evening. Well, tonight we're going to discuss franchising in the moving industry, and we're going to start our show with our latest podcast from our Great Quotes in Franchising podcast from Warren Greshes, who's in the Hall of Fame of speakers. In part 2, you're going to hear our interview with Dustin Black, and Dustin is the founder and CEO of Black Tie Moving. And then in part 3, you're going to hear our interview with Nick Friedman, the founder of College Hunks, Hauling Junk, and Moving Franchise Opportunity. So stick around because we have a great show.
Today's Great Quote in Franchising is being brought to you by
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach. Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system. Coach. Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed. Consult. Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track. And advise. Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032. That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting Franchise Interviews a very long time now, and during the years we've had some incredible quotes on the show. Today you're going to get to hear from Warren Greshes, and Warren has appeared on our show, or our podcast, 3 times up to this point. And he's in the Hall of Fame of speakers, and he gives some really great advice to aspiring entrepreneurs before they start their business. Listen to what Warren said.
Warren, one of the areas you address when talking about entrepreneurship is the importance of disability insurance, health savings accounts, and health insurance. I know my father-in-law was had his own insurance business, New York City, and he always talked about the importance of disability insurance. So maybe talk about those couple of things a little bit for entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. You know, the thing about disability insurance, a couple of things about it. First, it's a must. If you're going to own your own business. Remember, one of the big problems with owning your own business, as opposed to working for a company, is that you don't have a safety net. You know, when you work for somebody else, especially when you work for a large company, they're going to supply you with health insurance. They're going to supply you with a disability policy. They're also probably going to supply you with a small life insurance policy. But the second you leave that company, all that stuff is gone. And you're really going to need that disability insurance. And God forbid something happens to you and you're unable to work. Essentially, you're out of business. Well, disability insurance is going to give you an income. Now, remember something about disability insurance. Here's the important thing to remember. You cannot get disability insurance if you do not already have an income. And if you're first starting your own business, you're not going to have an income. So what I did was I knew I was going to go into my own business. So while I was working for somebody else and was making an income, I started buying disability insurance.
Right.
And so while you're working, you must, the whole thing about starting a business, if you're not planning ahead before you get into that business, don't go into business. That's why I saved my money. That's why I bought disability insurance. I had disability insurance when I went into business because I knew once I started for the first few years I wasn't going to be able to buy any more because I didn't have an income. I wasn't paying myself.
Right.
Now, so when you're working, buy as much as you, if you know you're going to go into your own business, if you have any desire or plans to do it, buy as much as you can. Insurance companies will only give you as much as your income allows. You can't buy as much as you want. They judge it according to the amount of income you have coming in. Now, once my speaking business started to take off, and every time my income rose, I bought more disability insurance.
Right.
I got a ton of disability insurance. God forbid anything ever happens to me, I've got a nice income coming in every single month. Now, once I hit 65, I'm not going to need it anymore. And they're not going to give it to me anymore either. The other thing about health savings accounts, as a small business owner, you're going to get really destroyed by health insurance. The premiums are monstrous. The costs are ridiculous, but you got to have it. You can't afford to get sick, and you can't afford to let hospital and doctor bills put you out of business.
Right.
For years, I had health accounts, health insurance that were killing me. But, when the health savings accounts came out, I realized, and I went to somebody, I always had a good insurance agent. That's another thing. There's a lot of things you should skimp on as a small business owner. Watch your pennies. Watch your overhead. Things like long-distance telephones, cell phone plan, all that sort of stuff. Overhead, watch it. But the one thing you don't want to skimp on is expert advice. You got to have a good lawyer, a good accountant, and a good insurance agent. Those people, don't worry about paying them. If you're going to, don't look to skimp on an accountant, a lawyer, or an insurance agent because you're going to end up with a crummy one. And a crummy one is going to cost you more than what you're paying out. So get good people. I have a great agent, and he advised me on the health savings accounts, found me someone to work with, and now I have a health savings account for my business. It's a low premium, high deductible plan with great tax deductibility in it. It's the greatest tool for a very small business. And I'm a big believer in that. You should also have life insurance. When you're in your own business, you want to protect your family, you need life insurance. But I cannot emphasize enough planning ahead and buying disability while you're still working and making a good income before you start your business. Because then at least you're giving yourself some sort of safety net. Don't allow catastrophic things beyond your control to put you out of business.
Right. Such an important point you bring up, especially something like disability insurance. No one's going to think of that. No one thinks of themselves as getting sick. Everyone's trying to stay positive, starting a new business, but you got to set yourself up across the board starting a business, just not things like this, putting together a business plan and calculating how long you can go, before you make a salary. And
I'll tell you something. You're more likely to get hurt than you are to die.
Right.
So disability insurance is very important.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what my father-in-law told me. It's just as important, if not more, than having life insurance.
Absolutely, and I have both. I spend a big part. I spend a lot of overhead every year on insurance: life insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance, health insurance, liability insurance. I am insured up the gazoo.
It's expensive, but you have to have it.
Right.
Warren, the next question is: what advice would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur who doesn't have a background in sales? Someone who's not as good as Marty and I.
Get one. All right? I don't care if you don't have a background in sales. No one believes in you, your products, your services, and what you do more than you do.
Right.
I agree.
Everybody wants to hire someone to sell for them. Well, let me tell you something. If you're starting out a new business, I don't care how good the salesperson you hire is, they're not going to do much business. And if they're not going to do much business, they're not going to make any money. If they're not going to make any money, they're going to leave you.
Right. They're going to quit.
You're the head of sales and marketing. Be the head of sales and marketing. If you don't know how to sell, learn how to sell. Buy the books, go to seminars, listen to podcasts, listen to audio, listen to CDs, watch DVDs, whatever it is. Get all the sales information you can and put it into practice. Become an expert in sales. Because, no one can sell who you are and what you do better than you can, because no one believes in who you are and what you do more than you do. And I'll tell you what, you really think in your first couple of years in business you're going to get a salesperson who's going to really believe in who you are and what you do? I don't think so. So learn how to sell. And even when you get to the point where you can afford to hire salespeople who can do a good job for you.
If you'd like to hear that whole show with Warren Greshes, all you have to do is go to franchiseinterviews.com. Go to
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 12 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Dustin Black, the founder and CEO of Black Tie Moving. And Dustin is no stranger to the moving industry. From the time he was a child, Dustin worked in his father's moving company, learning the ins and outs of the industry, while also getting behind the curtain view of exactly who homeowners were trusting their belongings. 8 locations open and 24 new franchise territories under development, Black Tie Moving is rapidly expanding across the nation. We're going to talk to Dustin about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 12 years now, we've been asking the Franchipreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Dustin Black, the founder and CEO of Black Tie Moving. And Dustin is no stranger to the moving industry. From the time he was a child, Dustin worked in his father's moving company, learning the ins and outs of the industry, while also getting behind the curtain view of exactly who homeowners were trusting their belongings. 8 locations open and 24 new franchise territories under development, Black Tie Moving is rapidly expanding across the nation. Hi, Dustin. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Marty. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate you having me.
Oh, thank you, Dustin. This is my pleasure. You know, I was reading about your background and your franchise opportunity. I said I had to have you guys on the show. We would like to ask our guests, where are you calling from this morning, Dustin?
Yeah, we're calling from Nashville, Tennessee. This is our corporate headquarters here. So we've been here for about 3 years.
Oh, fantastic. Nashville's a great place, isn't it, Dustin?
Yeah, we love it. You know, I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, and I grew up there. And after moving to Dallas after high school, we, that's where I eventually opened Black Tie Moving. But about 4 years after we opened in Dallas, we decided that we wanted to make Nashville our home base and move our corporate headquarters up here. So we're loving every minute of it, and it's been good to us.
That's fantastic. You know, with your story, I mean, typically we say, okay, can you describe the history of Black Tie Moving? But, you know, when I was reading about you, Dustin, I think we almost have to go back to when you were a kid, don't we? Because that was kind of the origin of really real Black Tie Moving to the beginning and talk about the evolution of this whole concept. Okay.
Yeah, you know, so I started, my father opened his first moving company when I was 4 years old in Memphis, Tennessee. Wow. And we, of course, I didn't start moving furniture when I was 4, but about the time I was old enough to carry a box, I think I was about 9 or 10 years old. He, he had me out on jobs, helping out, and obviously, working in the business and helping him out. So, you know, I got a lot of great experience at a young age, and my father is one of those fathers that he's very big on promoting hard work ethic, you know, even at a young age, and that's exactly what he did. And boy, did he drive that home, because moving furniture is not an easy job.
I can't
especially
imagine
at a young age. So whenever I was about 9 or 10 years old, I started helping him out in his business. And, I played a lot of baseball growing up. So in the summers and every weekend, I would continue to go out on moves and learn the operational side of his business. And, through that time, it was an incredible learning experience, because not only did I get to kind of see, I got kind of the behind-the-scenes view of what consumers get on a traditional moving day, if you will.
Right.
Not just from the process and the systems, but also from the people. And, I just, growing up in Memphis, and my father was just like every other moving company, at that time. I mean, this was, 30 years ago almost. It really wasn't. There was no experience. It was really, hey, we're gonna try to find, the only guys that we can pay $10 an hour to go move furniture in the 100-degree weather, or the freezing cold, and it's the labor pool was it was filled with ex-felons and drug addicts and just people that we typically would not want in our home. And I didn't really enjoy working next beside these guys. I grew up kind of despising the industry because of the individuals that I worked around each and every day. And it was one of those things that I knew what they were doing in the truck. I knew that they did the night before. I knew what they did. They're trying to ride the clock out and tack on extra fees and charges just so they could get paid, and tried to find ways to kind of get one over on the consumer, and obviously I would go back and tell my dad about it every time, so that none of them liked working with me very, very much. But one of those things that I really as I got into high school and I mean, man, that's how I paid for my first car. My dad said, wow, all my friends were parents were buying them brand new trucks and all this stuff, and my dad said, well, I tell you what, son, when I was 16, he said you can work this entire summer and I'll match whatever you make moving furniture. And that's what you'll go buy your car with. And so that's how I took my girlfriends to the movies on the weekends. That's how I paid for everything that I did. And so I really didn't have a choice. I didn't really enjoy it, but it was the best money I could make, as a high school kid. So it was so whenever I graduated high school, I got my senior year. I had a pretty bad knee injury. I tore my meniscus and my patella tendon, and it put me out of the game for good. And my parents couldn't afford to send me to college, so I had to find something to go pro in besides baseball, and I was going to have to do it without a college education. So it was one of those things. My dad, he said, well, son, I guess you can always stay here and run the family business, and I said absolutely not, and I ran as fast as I could to Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
And so I got into property management, leasing apartments actually when I was 18 years old. And I did that for a couple of years, and then I got a job in kind of like, I guess, the mailroom, so to speak, in the corporate world at Countrywide Home Loans, and worked my way up through the corporate ladder. And about 2.5 years later, I became the number one loan officer in the country for the largest mortgage company in the world at the time. So that was kind of how I got out of running the family business for Dad for that initial those early years. And I started a career in mortgage, and obviously we did about $300 million a year in home loan transactions. So obviously I was the kind of the expert advisor and the guy that was walking all of these consumers all over the country through this mortgage process and home buying process with their real estate agents, obviously. And, I saw so many great real estate transactions. Obviously the home loan, the home loan process is not always, easy, but for the most part, you kind of either qualify or you don't, and underwriting, can be tough at times, but it's probably one of the hardest processes, through that home buying experience, just kind of trying to figure out what you qualify for and what kind of home you can purchase and what kind of rate you're going to get, what your payments are going to be, and we would get these clients all approved for their loan, and they would get moved into they would purchase their dream house, they would close on it, and then I would hear moving nightmares by the hundreds every month of people that were they had really had their home buying experience kind of spoiled at the very last portion, which was obviously them moving into their new home. And, this is something that it doesn't matter if you're moving into $1 million home or a $100,000 home. It's still all of your things that you've invested so much time and money in. And, when people don't really care for, your things or your home or have that respect for, you and your family on such a stressful day, it can, really, be the one thing that kind of makes that whole exciting, fun process, end in a, like I said, in a terrible experience with your move. So, kind of over the years, I just kind of took note in the mortgage industry, and obviously I had a lot of real estate agents that sent me business, and I ended up leaving and starting my own mortgage company back in 2008. And kind of when the mortgage crisis when everybody was running, I was going all in. Which, I don't know if that was the greatest idea, but it worked out okay. We ended up, I partnered with a publicly traded company and opened my own branch there in Dallas, Texas. And about 18 months later, the company decided that they were going to sell, and I was out of a job. And I at that point, I kind of I just got married. My wife was pregnant with our first daughter, and I kind of was just like, man, what am I going to do? The mortgage industry wasn't as profitable as it was in the early 2000s, and I sent an email out to my database of real estate agents, which was about 20,000 real estate agents, and this was actually right after we moved into our first home that we built in Dallas. And, I was a pretty educated consumer in that sense. I knew where to find, their license and their insurance to make sure that, they were at least licensed in insurance, and then went out and looked for their reviews. But I also sent an email out to my database of real estate agents asking them, do you have a moving company that you refer? If so, who? And if not, why? And the feedback that I got was pretty astonishing. 93% of my database said that they did not have a moving company that they referred.
That's incredible.
So going through that process, and then, so I hired kind of what I found to be the best and the most experienced, the most reputable in the city of Dallas. They were the largest moving company. I won't say any names here, but they were the largest moving company in our market and the largest independent company in the U.S. And they came out and they had, 2 beat up trucks and, guys that, were smoking cigarettes and not in uniform and, just kind of looked like they crawled out of the federal penitentiary. And that's who I had invited into my home that morning to pack all of our, our personal belongings and protect our furniture and transport it, to our new home. And, it wasn't a, obviously that was kind of first impression, but as the day went by, they ended up damaging about $35,000 of my furnishings and damage to my new home that I had just built. And and about, I guess it was 3 months later, I received a check for $236 as a settlement. So it, as you can imagine, as a consumer, it just put an incredibly bad taste in my mouth. And, I just looked at my wife and I said, there's got to be a better way to do this. And obviously, I kind of had all the technical skills via default, growing up, working for my father. And at this point, I kind of become more of a digital marketing expert with with Facebook for Business and all these things coming out in 2010. That's kind of how I differentiated myself as a mortgage banker with my real estate network and professionals. I would teach them how to brand themselves and generate leads online. In return, hopefully they would send me their business, right? So I really I saw just an opportunity in the market, and I looked at everything that just as a consumer I thought that it was missing. And, really it just kind of blew me away that these, that there hadn't been something, created like this that really a moving company that really concentrated on professionalism and customer service and transparency, and really protecting the client from the very first phone call by giving them all the information that they need to know, not just what we wanted to tell them, and also just hiring a different level of labor to come out and perform these moving services on moving day. And I wanted to really create an experience for homeowners and consumers, in Dallas that they could be proud of and excited about, and I think that's what we've done so far. But it's been a great ride, and it's just amazing to kind of see everybody that's involved in it now, and how fast we've grown over our first 6 years. It's just a blessing from God, first and foremost. But we've got an amazing group of people, an amazing team around us that help us, bring this experience to life every day.
It's an amazing story, Dustin. I've done 600 and almost like 50 of these interviews, and it's really an amazing story as you're telling it. It's you were truly able to satisfy this need in the market. It's amazing that nobody else really came forward and said, this is a really big problem here in the United States, probably even maybe in other countries, and I guess that the personal experience, that happened to you and your wife and your family, when it didn't go so well. That was kind of like you said, it was almost like your sign from God, right? It's saying, okay, this is where you got to go. This is your opportunity, and you really took advantage of it. So it's really an amazing situation, and it is very stressful. I thought, last time we moved was 12 years ago, and it was the same for us. It was just very stressful. A lot of the as the story as you were describing it, some of those things happened to us as well, and you just think, well, okay, well, it's just that's the way it is, and this is part of moving, But how does your dad feel today? That you're back in the business. I don't know if he's still here, but how does he feel that you're back in this industry?
You know what? He's he's proud of me. I think that he knows that he knows that this is something that our family's all kind of lived and breathed over the last 30 years, and he's actually one of my biggest competitors still to this day in our Memphis market, which most people are like, man, isn't he upset about that coming in? And but no, we're very close, and he will always be one of my best friends, and he's been there to mentor me and help me along the way in anything that I needed. So it's been great having, that level of mentorship kind of through this process. And just from the technical perspective, I kind of grew into the sales and marketing and customer service guy. But, when it comes to, actually the technical skills of moving, expensive pieces or unique items or, we get thrown. We've been thrown about every curveball that you could possibly be thrown after doing. I think we've completed over 60,000 moves today, and it's always nice having my father to kind of lean on whenever I need something from a technical skill perspective, but he's great. He's actually about to retire, so I'll be glad whenever I don't have to compete against him anymore, because he's good too.
Great. That's fantastic. It was interesting, in studying your business model, Dustin. There was a lot of things that really, stood out. You were talking about customer service, and I've always had the perception that, once the service has been provided, then that's it after that. You know, I mean, you don't ever hear from the company again, and they don't contact you.
Sure.
But it really doesn't work that way for Black Tie Moving. It seems like, you know, you still have that relationship with the customer, or you're still there for them, aren't you, after the transaction has taken place? That's important, isn't it?
It sure is, man. You know, people at the end of the day, you know, as a consumer, we just want somebody who truly and genuinely cares about, you know, our experience, our service, and you know, our furniture and our family. You know what I mean? If I'm a consumer in the moving industry. So, you know, we in 2015, I designed a concierge platform that it's called Black Tie Home Concierge. We basically come in, and from the moment of the first phone call, when they call to book their move, we also set them up with our VIP concierge, which handles all kind of the, you know, the nagging tasks that moving anywhere has to offer, like, you know, shopping for your utilities and connecting your utilities and best service providers and cable internet, TV, security, all of those things that we have to focus on when we're moving, right? It's not just the move. We're having to literally, you know, transfer everything, you know, in our life, from, you know, our creditors that we pay to, you know, obviously all of our utilities and phone, cable, internet, and things like that. So what our concierge does is we have open API with about 34,000 providers, which is about 99% of everyone that's available at every address. And our concierge basically shops for the best rate and connects these services for them, saving them about 6 to 8 hours on the front end before we even show up to their front door on moving day. So that's something, and they still have this app and the Home Concierge app to kind of refer back to, you know, after they've moved in, if they need a landscaping company or insurance, or, you know, if they're looking for another, home expert, we kind of want to be that expert advisor within, you know, all of their home services, if you will. So we want to continue to serve them and help, you know, guide them through, you know, that home ownership process and what all the things that brings, even after we've moved them in, and hopefully, you know, that drives enough value home that, you know, whenever they're ready to move again, they give us a call. So
that's terrific. I think those are wonderful services, Dustin. And it sounds like your movers are also employees to the business as well. As you were saying, Dustin, I think, you know, I always had the perception that, you know, again, it was a long time ago, but the gentlemen that helped move us in, I mean, they could have been from anywhere and everywhere. You know, they were. I can't remember what they were wearing, but it seems like your employees are, you know, wearing uniforms. You know, they're from Black Tie.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's important to the customer, isn't it?
It is. You know, so technically in, you know, the moving industry just traditionally has been a big contracting game, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, they'll contract a driver out, and, you know, the driver will go pick up labor, you know, day labor, so to speak, that aren't experts in moving furniture and the different techniques and the things that they need to know to, you know, protect the homeowner's goods at the highest level. I just knew in the beginning that, you know, I had to. It's great to put a fancy name on your brand and roll out a red carpet, you know, into the door and put tuxedo T-shirts on the guys. But if they're not, you know, a higher level of labor and just, you know, if they're not trained in customer service and professionalism, that's the one thing that, you know, you really can't teach people. You know what I mean? I can't teach you how to become, how to be a great person. I can teach you how to become a great mover, right? So that's really what we started hiring on early on. It's like, hey, I just want good, honest guys that I can teach. They're coachable, and, you know, we're going to hire on professionalism and customer service first, and then we're going to teach them to be expert movers. And you're right. All of our guys are employees, and you know, we have a lot more control that way, obviously, just as a corporation. And we're able to create a much better culture and environment for these guys, and also a career path for them. So, you know, our guys have the opportunity to start out at movers, you know, without a college degree, obviously, make $50,000 to $80,000 a year on the high end if they drive. And then once they're kind of, you know, once they've mastered that, now with an organization, their opportunity is to, they want to go and they want to be an assistant operations manager and grow into an operations manager after that, and then move on to actually an operating partner in one of our corporate locations. So we call that kind of process there, that opportunity to mover to millionaire. Because we've already made movers millionaires just by providing them with equity, in these locations that they go and they start up once we've kind of brought them through our organization, our process, and our training model.
That's amazing. The name is great too, Dustin. I don't know if you came up with the name Black Tie Moving, but it does give you a certain image or perception, doesn't it? When I hear it, what a clever name. It's really fantastic.
Yes, and that's really what we wanted. We wanted people to think that, up first whenever they were looking at our brand, aside all the others out there in the market, because we really do, that's what we pride ourselves on is being the most professional and the most customer service oriented moving industry professionals that are there not only to, move your things from point A to point B without damaging them, but really create an enjoyable experience, for you and your family, throughout that moving day and just, having those guys in your home that you like and that you trust, man, it just makes a world of difference on moving day.
You've had some pretty big names, too, as clients, too, Dustin. I was reading a little bit about that, too. I mean, that certainly doesn't hurt the business, does it? Having those big names as clients, it says a lot about trust, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. We've, I don't know if we kind of fell into that or not, but I think that, obviously luxury homeowners and even now, celebrities have really been drawn to the brand because obviously, that's what they're looking for on moving day. And sometimes they have a lot of incredibly expensive things that they're very nervous about. So, they have, they really have, just kind of grown into raving fans of our business. And it's, celebrities like Carrie Underwood, Tony Romo, and Gary LaVox, the Rascal Flats, and Mookie Betts. We've literally moved hundreds and hundreds of celebrities, and now we've got several of them are now partners and franchise owners across the country now. Because after they experienced, for example, Gary LaVox of the Rascal Flats, we moved him. He was one of our first moves in Nashville, and his wife saw my truck moving me into our neighborhood. We moved here from Laguna Beach, California about 3 years ago, and Gary's wife saw our moving truck and was like, "Man, that's the moving company that was on $1 Million Listing LA that we saw." And they had a move coming up, so they had their assistant give us a call, and we didn't even know that it was them that we were moving until moving day, and it was it was very flattering that obviously they hired our services. But after we provided them this experience, we really kind of I fell in love with their family. They were just such great people, and I've been a big Rascal Flatts fan for a long time. It's my mother's favorite band of all time. And at the end of the move, we said, hey, they were writing a check for their move, and I don't remember what it was, but it was a lot. And and they and I said, hey, I think that we can all we've moved thousands of people a year, and I would rather you write this check out to your favorite charity, which I knew was the Tim Tebow Foundation. So at the end of the move, we just kind of decided they're very Christian family that just treated our guys tremendously well, and I made that one kind of I don't know, I guess it was just kind of a game time decision at the end of the move, and now that I think about it, I think it was like a $12,000 or $13,000 move. And Gary's wife started crying, and she was like, why would you do this? I can't believe that you would work all this for the last 4 or 5 days with us and then donate it all to charity. Just so we connected over that, and about a year later, Gary and I had kind of become pretty good friends through over that year, and he was like, man, we've got to bring this moving company to my home state of Ohio. So about a year and a half ago, we opened our Columbus market, And now we're in Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. And Gary LeVox is my partner in all three of those markets.
That's amazing. What a great story. It's really it's a fascinating story. So did you know early on, Dustin? Was franchising a model that you thought of early on? I mean, when you started this whole concept, or did it just kind of like evolve into saying, you know what, I got this system here, I could franchise it?
You know what? It's kind of funny you asked that question, because to be completely transparent, I never wanted to franchise. I'm kind of a control freak in the sense of
sure.
you know, my brand, and this is like my baby, you know, that we've created, and that we work very hard to build, you know, the best reputation, you know, in our industry in every market that we're in. And the thought of me kind of putting that in somebody else's hands made me very nervous in the beginning, and really, so, you know, we'd kind of been approached with it, but a buddy of mine that actually, his name is Jason Anderson. He's the president of Accurate Franchising, and this was kind of the same team that had taken, you know, like your 2-minute truck brands and things like that, you know, to 350 locations. And, you know, I guess the more I learned about the franchising model and kind of the control we had just to, you know, hand select our franchisees and, you know, do our due diligence and make sure that these were people that shared, you know, the same values as we did, and that, you know, the same ethics and the same passion for creating, you know, this incredible experience for people, you know, on one of the most stressful days of their life. And of course, you know, that's kind of where we started. We you know, we ended up franchising the brand back in, I guess it was like April and May of last year. Okay. And we just, I mean, it was amazing to me. We haven't even started advertising yet, even to date. But it was amazing to me that the people that were interested in it, and it wasn't, you know, we weren't getting online leads and talking to strangers. These were influencers and owners of, you know, major real estate companies. You know, other celebrities and entrepreneurs that, you know, that I'd known just you know, just from being through, you know, going to different events and speaking at different events, and you know, it just, obviously it made me feel good to know that you know, all of these other people are getting as excited as I am about, you know, a mission and you know, to deliver this experience and kind of, you know, try to revolutionize this industry a little bit and bring it up to speed, because it is a dinosaur. You know, it has been for a long time. And so, yeah, we're completely, you know, just at awe and blessed, you know, to have all these people interested in such a short period of time. And, you know, now that we're there, and now that, you know, we're in this franchise model, I can't imagine not doing it, because we have incredible people involved. From, you know, our Atlanta franchisee owns Keller Williams and the state of Georgia. So you can imagine big real estate owners you know, franchise owners are now buying our moving company to plug into their business as an ancillary business. And they already own the best, you know, leads that we could pay for online or go and, you know, go and get, you know, just through grassroots marketing. So, you know, from them, Luke Pell he's a kind of celebrity country music artist. He partnered with the owners of Keller Williams in Kentucky, and they bought Lexington and Louisville. And we have, I mean, it's just amazing. And I think that if I would not have franchised, you know, and kind of let my control get the best of me, right? And not just, you know, entrust in other people that we, you know, saw something in, because that is one thing. I mean, we're not out just giving franchises out to everybody that has the money to buy one. You know, we hand select these folks, and we really want to make sure that they have, you know, the ingredients to be successful, and you know, also just, you know, they have the passion and the ethics, you know, that we kind of hold ourselves to, and all of our movers to, because, we know that everything, that leader and everything that they do in their particular market is going to bleed down through the movers, and we just, we think it's incredibly important that these franchisees are just the right people, right?
Of course, yeah, and it sounds like that's what you look for, Dustin. When you're meeting with someone, as the franchise continues to grow, and you're going to be meeting with a lot of prospective franchisees. It sounds like in talking to you, that ethics is pretty much at the top, isn't it? When you say, okay, this person's going to be a good match for Black Tie Moving, aren't they?
Correct. Yeah, because obviously the trust level has to be very high, and
sure.
It's very easy to kind of fall back into, it's easy to do what's easy. Sometimes it's not always easy to do what's right. And we want people that are going to do what's right, not just for their profit margin and their bottom line, but for our consumers when something goes wrong, and hold, themselves accountable whenever they make a mistake. Because I think that's probably, we're in the moving industry, right? Accidents are going to happen.
Sure.
It's inevitable.
Right,
it's like saying every car is going to get on the road today and there's not going to be an accident that happens. So I think that, it's obviously, being very proactive and planning, having a solid plan that protects the consumer when accidents do happen, like, providing adequate insurance for our customers, before their move, instead of just, sticking them with the 60 cents per pound, which, the government says that we have to provide them. Which isn't a whole lot, as you can imagine. It's basically, if you pay $5,000 for a TV that weighed 100 pounds, they're going to give you $60 for it. So as you can imagine, consumers aren't real happy whenever that kind of thing happens. So, it's a lot goes into it on the front end, just making sure that they're all packed and padded correctly. But, we only have about an 8% damage rate across the board out of all of our moves, in which the industry standard is 3 to 4 times that. So, it's a little easier for us to make the customer happy and just do what's right, even sometimes when they're not right. We still want to make them happy. Of course. Without being, unless we see that they're trying to, take advantage of us, obviously. There are, it's a case-by-case basis. But I think, there's no better advertising than being undeniably great at what you do. And we are moving experts. But, we're really a customer service company that just happens to move people. I think that, it's just really what sets us apart. We want to invest in the men that, are performing, your move, and we knew that we'd have to come in and recruit and pay a lot more, and maybe even charge a little bit more. In the beginning, we did charge a lot more, and we were kind of just that luxury, moving company. But after about the first year, I figured out a way to make it affordable for everybody, because at the end of the day, everybody deserves this level of service. I don't care, how poor or rich you are. If you can afford a professional moving company that has their license and insurance, you can afford Black Tie. So we're not, more expensive than than any of our competition. That is licensed and insured and has, at least decent reputations. We're within about 10% of our pricing. So, I think that building the value up and all the value that we add to, these homeowners, and when they see our name, they kind of almost expect us to be more expensive, right? And when they understand that it is affordable for them, it really just gives us a big advantage, obviously, when competing against the competition in any market that we're in.
That's great. How does the training work, Dustin? Do they typically come to headquarters for that? Once you decide they are a match and, they can become a franchisee, they come down to headquarters. How does that work?
Yeah, it's pretty extensive, and we'll go back to me just kind of being a control freak, if you will, and not controlling the franchisee, but I really wanted to give them the ability to, it's typically not something that any of my franchises, as a matter of fact, none of my franchises have had any moving experience prior to buying ours. we bring them into our office for 1 week, and then we take them through a classroom training with their operations managers, obviously the owners, if that is a different person, so to speak. So, we bring them in here for a week, then we go to them for a week on the front lines. And, we also, when we have a network, we have about 700 movers that work for us nationwide. So what we've been able to do is kind of, pull some guys from different markets to go help them get started and help them get trained help them train their guys in the local, at the local level. And, the model that we built, Marty, I worked 18 hours a day for about 2 years, I think.
Wow.
It felt like that anyway.
Right.
And I spent so much time, I was the sales guy, I was the business development guy, I was the mover manager, the dispatcher, the customer service, person. I was everything. And it really, it took up a lot of time, and it didn't give me a lot of time to work it didn't give me a lot of time to work on my business because I was so busy working in my business.
Right.
And that's what whenever we built, out our corporate locations, we already had a call center that was basically, handling all the sales, customer service, compliance, all the things that really, that take a lot out of your day. I mean, it's hard to be out doing, quality assurance and quality control whenever you're having to answer sales calls and or customer service calls. So, what's going to happen is inevitably, if you're trying to do both at the same time, you're going to suffer because your customer is going to suffer from a customer experience and service perspective. So what we've done is we've built a corporate call center that literally we do everything from we generate the lead, we estimate the lead, we close the lead, and we put it on their calendar. So our franchisees really don't pick up the ball until the move has been booked and they're ready to make their confirmation call the day before and then send their movers out to actually execute the move on moving day. So that's the real differentiator that we do, and the level of support that we give. I guess just compared to any other franchise that I know of, realistically. Every time a move is booked, they pay $35. That covers their salesperson, their customer service throughout the lifetime of the move or after the move. It covers their compliance, and obviously we have a large team with sales managers and things like that make sure all the details are correct and that they're really just setting up our operations team for success. So we really want our franchisees to focus on three things primarily on the front lines. We want them to focus on obviously recruiting movers, quality control, and business development. And we really kind of take the rest off their plate on the front end. Now, of course, they have a little, business administration on the back end, but that stuff's pretty easy with the technology that we have today. So we're a digital company, we're paperless, and once those moves are complete, it really just kind of everything gets time stamped and goes into their back office to where they can just kind of print out a report and do payroll and obviously match up the accounting for the day and things like that. So we've tried to make it as easy as we possibly can on them so that they can work on their business and building our brand through community, outreach and business development with real estate partners and things like that. That way, and like I said, it worked. It's the same exact model that we had for our corporate locations. The same level of support that we show our corporate locations is the same level of support that we show our franchise locations. So there is no difference whatsoever. And it's really just pass-through costs, that $35 that they pay. If you're doing 100 moves a month, that's $3,500 a month that you're getting, expert salespeople, estimators, customer service, and compliance. And 100 moves a month is $1 million business a year. So that's pretty cheap for a sales team for $1 million a year business. When you really think about it, especially when you don't have to pay for office rent or, any of the phone, utilities, any of that kind of stuff, that's it's a really good deal.
That's a great model. So where do you see, Dustin, I mean, if you could look into a crystal ball, maybe, 3 to 5 years down the road, I mean, where do you see Black Tie moving?
Well, we, I would say that, first and foremost, we just want to be the best in every market that we service. We've been blessed to find lots of people that we sold and we rolled out our first 24 locations on March 1st, or 24 franchise locations on March 1st, and we've got about 14 additional locations in escrow right now that we are going to roll out within the next 60 days. And we've kind of taken a page out of the LeBron James Blaze Pizza model, right? With our celebrities. So, in Ohio, Gary LaVox is the face of Black Tie Moving. Right. I've got about 5 other major athletes. I've got the biggest face in ML and Major League Baseball right now that's coming on board. We're opening corporate offices together. Probably one of the biggest faces in NFL, several others in country music. So we've almost built a menu of celebrities to act as that celebrity face of the company that's basically just recognizable in these markets. And what we do is we look for kind of like the hometown heroes, right? Gary LaVoxes of Ohio, the Mookie Betts of Boston. These guys that when we put their face on our brand, it's just throws gas on the fire, and it's really quite special. But we do think that when LeBron started kind of endorsing that franchise opportunity in a business that he already owned and supported, that's when they blew up, and I believe became one of the fastest selling franchises in history. I know, incredible. Definitely in the hospitality, world. So we've kind of, we started to do that. We're gonna roll out a program with about 5 major celebrity influencers that are going to actually become area developers, and they're going to basically be endorsing our business opportunity, as with their partnership. This franchise opportunity to all of their fans, across the country. So, our goal for this year is 100 franchises. And I know that might sound crazy, but I can promise you that really, without even trying, if you will, we're going to start advertising about mid-year this year, and we've got a pretty creative strategy as far as to go to market with our celebrities and them just kind of being the face and creating videos and having them sell the opportunity from in their own words to their fans. Aside from that, we've got a lot of support from the Keller Williams organization. We've got I bet we'll probably have at least 40 locations that these, owners of the Keller Williams franchise will, let's say for Atlanta, for example, that will just go in and buy the moving company like they're, like they'd buy a title company or a mortgage company to plug into their real estate business. So that's been huge for us, and it's really kind of caught fire amongst the largest real estate companies and organizations throughout the country. I do a lot of speaking and at real estate events, and because I still train real estate agents and coach them from the stage as far as how to build a big brand and how to create that raving fan experience. It's paying off. So I think that we'll continue to do all of those things. In the next 3 to 5 years, I would love to see us sell out and have 350 locations across the country. But we're gonna take that day by day, and like I said, in our in our business, I don't care about being the biggest unless we're the best, if you will. So I think we'll let kind of our we'll let this first year kind of tell us the story as what we can handle operationally, because what I don't want to do is oversell and undersupport. So,
of course,
that's
right.
very important to me, and I want to deliver every single one of our franchisees the same, experience that similar to what we do our customers or what we do our referral partners in the real estate industry. It's all about creating a great experience for them that they can win in, and that allows them to duplicate what we've already done, and our website and our web presence is a big part of that. I kind of touched on before that we were, kind of a customer service and digital marketing company that just happens to move people. But we've got partnerships with like the Tennessee Titans, with the official moving company of the Titans, of the Memphis Grizzlies. We're bringing on several other Major League ball teams this year in Major League Baseball and also in college football. So we not only act as like a sponsor, for these organizations, but they're our customers too. We're providing them all of their logistics needs. So hauling their equipment to away games for the Titans, or any of these college teams, they have logistical needs too, and it's really amazing, man. If you'd have told me 5 years ago when I started this thing that I would be working with my favorite baseball players and my favorite country music artists and my favorite sports teams, through this moving company, I would have probably laughed and told you were crazy. But it's happened, and it continues to grow. And I think that as this franchise gets crowdfunded through celebrities and these major corporate partnerships and sports marketing partnerships, I think just really the sky's the limit.
That's amazing. What's the best way for our listeners, Dustin, to get more information on Black Tie Moving, as, of course, the service and even more specifically the franchise opportunity? Any websites that we can direct them to?
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's just www.blacktiemoving.com.
Okay.
You can go to that page, and it'll have a Franchise with Us tab that you can get more information on the franchise. We also have blacktiemovingfranchise.com that they can visit and get a little bit more information on the actual franchise as well. But what we've done is really made this an affordable franchise for anybody that's looking, into going into business for themselves, or retiring from corporate America like I did, and kind of going out on a limb and opening my own business. We've really put the blueprint and the model together for you, to where you just have to plug into the system and join the family, and we kind of hold your hand the entire way. We're not one of those franchises that is going to sell you a business and then you're on your own. We're one big family here, and we're here to support our franchisees the entire way.
That's fantastic. I've really enjoyed talking to you today, Dustin. I as I mentioned, I've done like about 650 interviews, and this has become one of my favorites. So I want to thank you for coming on the show today, and I'd like to invite you back in the future as you continue to grow. Thanks, Dustin. It's great to have you on the show. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Today's great quote in franchising is being brought to you by
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting Franchise Interviews many years now, and during that time, we've had some incredible quotes on our show. Today's Great Quote in Franchising podcast comes from Mary Jane Riva, the CEO of Pizza Factory. And Mary Jane gave some great advice. You know, one of the questions we frequently ask on the show when we have someone like Mary Jane is, what advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise? And she said that you should look under the hood. And, you know, I thought her advice was very original, but you have to listen to the podcast to find out why. So here we go with Mary Jane Riva, CEO of Pizza Factory. Buy franchise. You know, we've been doing the show such a long time now, and one of the biggest things we've learned is that, you know, a lot of our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise, they don't know where to begin because, like you were saying earlier, there's so much out there today. You know, I mean, there's just so much to choose from. Most of them don't even know where to begin. It just becomes overwhelming.
Yep.
You know, from everything you've learned, you know, up to this point, what advice would you give to our listeners?
Well, there's a couple things, and one that as we're going through this journey ourselves from being a franchisee to the franchisor, it's understanding the roles of the franchisor versus the franchisee. That's a really big important, really what is the role that you're playing versus the franchisor. And then when you're looking at brands, the other thing for brands to me is really looking under the hood. Don't just look at all the stuff on the surface. Really dig down. See what extra charges there. You know, are they marking up stuff? You know, really evaluate a brand to a brand and not just the fluff kind of stuff that you see on the top, and it's a lot of due diligence.
Right.
But ask the questions that are going to be once you're in there. Are they marking up the food product? Are they marking up advertising materials? What are you paying? So really, really dig down and ask a lot more questions. And I would talk to a lot of franchisees that are in the system and see how they feel about the franchisor and the brand itself. I would do a lot of due diligence with franchisees because they're the ones that are going to tell you.
Right, absolutely. I love how you said look under the hood. As I mentioned, doing the show such a long time, I've never heard that analogy before. I think that's very clever, to look under the hood, to go deep, inside and look what's under, not just what's on top. We have this great quote in franchising. I'm going to put that one in there because I think that's fantastic. It makes a lot of sense. And, Pizza Factory, you have a lot of franchisees you can call, right? I think you're up to, is it over 100 franchisees now, Mary Jane? So there's plenty of people,
We've got some that have,
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say we have them. They've been in the system for 30 years. We have franchisees, that have been in that long, and we have them that are just getting on. So there's a wide range. So, and you want to hit all those. You want to hit the newbies. You want to hit the older ones. You want to get their feel of what's been going on and how they've been treated. And but there's a lot of people to call. There's a lot of people to ask. There's a lot of different town sizes. So when you're doing your due diligence, really, really, really get out there and dig deep.
If you'd like to hear that whole interview with Pizza Factory, all you have to do is go to franchiseinterviews.com, go to our franchise interviews by category page, and click on food franchises.
Blog Talk Radio.
Today's franchise interview shout out goes to the Source Direct. Source Direct is an inventor's one-stop shop. Source Direct eliminates the disconnect in dealing with different companies from each phase of development and marketing. Instead, Source Direct can manage every stage of the process from the drawing board to the customer. Go to thesourcedirect.net and find out how you can get started. That's www.thesourcedirect.net.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 10 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Nick Friedman, the founder and president of College Hunks Hauling Junk and Moving Franchise Opportunity. And College Hunks Hauling Junk is the fastest-growing junk hauling and moving franchise in America. College Hunks Hauling Junk has been named one of the fastest-growing companies in America by Inc. and has made Entrepreneur Magazine's list of top franchise opportunities for 5 years in a row and counting. We're going to talk to Nick about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
The Stone Coat Franchise Opportunity. Are you looking for a unique and lucrative franchise opportunity? If so, take a look at Stone Coat. With a patented process which creates a true stone finish on almost any wall or ceiling, Stone Coat is a true game-changing product in the multi-billion-dollar construction industry. Stone Coat is applied faster, cleaner, and cheaper than conventional quarried stone, which saves both time and money. With advantages in remodel and new construction of both residential and commercial projects, Stone Coat is a true crossover product. The Stone Coat franchise opportunity provides a low startup cost, low operating expenses, comprehensive training, ongoing support, and no royalty payments. For more information on the Stone Coat franchise opportunity, go to www.stonecoatfranchise.com. That's www.stonecoatfranchise.com, or call us at 972-380-2700. That's 972-380-2700.
Franchise Teacher,
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com. Or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 10 years now, we've been asking the Franchipreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Nick Friedman, the founder and president of College Hunks Hauling Junk and Moving Franchise Opportunity. And College Hunks Hauling Junk is the fastest growing junk hauling and moving franchise in America. Hi, Nick. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great, Marty. Thanks so much for having me.
It's my pleasure, Nick. I feel like I know you, because I've been following your franchise for such a long time now, and I think it's such an amazing story. We always like to ask our guests, where are you calling from this morning, Nick?
I'm in Tampa, Florida, sunny Tampa, Florida, which is the home of our franchise headquarters and national call center that books all the appointments for our franchise owners.
Oh, fantastic. Is it hot down there today, Nick?
It's hot and muggy, and then it rains about midway through the afternoon every day. It's kind of typical Florida summer.
It is. That's fantastic. I was saying earlier, Nick, this is, it's a great story. When we're talking about College Hunks Hauling and Junk, you could really go back to, the beginning, and your friendship that you had with Omar. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the history of College Hunks Hauling and Junk.
Yeah, absolutely. So my business partner and I actually went to high school together. We met in the 10th grade, actually in detention of all places. And we were always brought up to kind of follow the traditional career path. You got to get good grades. You got to get into college. You got to get a degree and get a job. And so we did manage to get into college. And the summer before our senior year of college, we were back home for summer vacation. And Omar's mom had this beat-up cargo van from her small furniture store. And she told Omar and I that summer, why don't you guys go do something with this? So we were sitting around the living room table just trying to come up with ways to make the phone ring. And we said, hey, well, what about College Hunks Hauling Junk? And we all just kind of busted out laughing at first. And then we kind of looked at each other and said, that's got kind of a catchy ring to it. So we put it on computer printout flyers and put it around the mailboxes that summer. When people had a need for the service, they thought the name was catchy. So that's kind of how the original idea was born. And then obviously a significant amount of events have taken place since then. We went back to school our senior year of college and wrote a business plan and won first prize out of about 150 entries. So it gave us a little more confidence in the idea. And then when we graduated from college, we got corporate jobs. felt pretty unfulfilled with it and said, you know what, let's make this a full-time gig. So we've been doing that ever since.
That's fantastic. How do you typically describe College Hunks Hauling Junk franchise to a prospective franchisee, Nick? Like if you were at a franchise show, and someone came up to your booth, I'm sure you get the question a lot. How do you typically respond?
Sure. So basically at the surface level, we provide trucks and we provide labor to homeowners and businesses that need stuff moved, either need stuff hauled away to be properly recycled, donated, or disposed of, or to be actually packed up and moved, across town or across state. So basically at the surface level, we are a moving and junk removal service. But beneath the layers, we describe ourselves as a very purpose-driven, values-based, and socially conscious organization. So we're not just moving people's stuff, but we're moving people's lives. We're making a positive impact in the lives that we touch. We're building leaders in the young men and women who we hire, the college folks that are doing the heavy lifting. So our franchise owners are very much like the professors or the coaches. There's a mentorship component to the people that they're bringing on board. And then we're very socially engaged in terms of we actually donate 2 healthy meals to Feeding Children Everywhere organization for every completed move or junk haul. So what that does is it really creates a level of community engagement, franchise owner engagement, and then employee engagement and loyalty that allows the business to really stand apart. So it's a bright and colorful brand. It's a catchy, quirky name. It's bright colors. But behind that is really a service experience that creates a level of loyalty in the community for our franchise owners. So that's really how we would describe it to a prospective franchisee.
It's a fantastic service, too, Nick. It's very important. From what I understand, too, it's been a while since we've moved to Pennsylvania. It's been about 12 years now. But, it's a very stressful situation, isn't it, when someone's moving, isn't it? I know it's like in the top, isn't it, like as far as stressful situations?
It is. So moving is actually number 3 next to death and divorce as one of the most stressful life events. And so we have a very lofty opportunity to remove that stress from the people that are moving.
Right.
And in many cases, where somebody's moving, there's also, in some cases, of death or divorce involved, or maybe a downsizing situation. And so, there's a great opportunity there. Also, clutter and junk that piles up in people's homes that we also remove. That's been shown to create anxiety and stress with the homeowners or the businesses. So you see the relief on people's faces when your team clears out their garage. Now they can park the car in the garage again. So, I mentioned at the beginning, when we just started with a beat-up cargo van, we now have over 100 franchises around the country. And it's really amazing to see the impact that it's had for our communities, our clients, our franchise owners, and our team members.
We had Michael Gerber on our show 3 times in over 10 years, Nick, and I know has he been an influence on your franchise and your life as well?
Absolutely. So when we first started the business, we were doing all the work ourselves. We were making all the typical mistakes that an entrepreneur makes, and so we were driving the truck, we were answering the phones, we were hauling the junk. We had the 800 number routed to our cell phones, so people would call the 800 number to complain about erratic driving, and I'd be the one in the driver's seat, answering the phone on the other end, apologizing, saying, we don't condone that type of driving in our company. We'll tell those guys to be safe on the road. So we started burning out, and one of our mentors recommended Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth Revisited.
Yeah.
We read the book, and it was like a lightning bolt hit us. We needed to start working on the business, not in the business. We needed to start creating systems and processes so we could have a second truck, let alone one day a second location. And that was really the framework and foundation for us to be able to franchise our business.
Right.
And actually, we had the opportunity to meet Michael Gerber at a Inc. magazine conference a few years later. And made a connection there, and actually he authored the foreword for the book that Omar and I co-authored called Effortless Entrepreneur. So we were able to get our sort of inspirational mentor to even write the foreword for our book. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, he's been a huge influence, obviously on the franchise industry, small business as a whole, but certainly on our business. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for having read his book.
That's fantastic. It's amazing how often we've heard that story on our show in over a decade, Nick. And I think actually this week, I think it's his 81st birthday. I'm pretty sure it's this week. I have it somewhere in my calendar. But he's amazing, isn't he? He's an amazing man. I just really admire him. And just the impact that he's had on franchising in general. Particularly, with College Hunks Hauling Junk. So I think that's fantastic. How has technology played a role in your business today, Nick? Like in the beginning, it was probably very basic, as you were talking about. What role does technology play today in the franchise?
Technology is actually a competitive advantage of ours currently. We've developed a proprietary software that makes it easier for the client to schedule their appointment. They actually can, almost like an Uber-type feature, see where the trucks are and route to their home and gives them some convenience and transparency elements to it. We have an awesome routing and metrics program within that. But you're right, when we started, it was a notebook paper and ultimately, eventually, an Excel spreadsheet. But we were, and actually when we started, social media didn't even really exist. So you didn't have to worry about, the client engagement, or you didn't have to be as concerned about online reviews. But now we've tried to weave in and leverage the advantages that technology gives everybody today, which is, connectivity and which is convenience and access and access to information. So that's really the way we've tried to leverage it, and we've been able to leverage it to our advantage in the recent years. And we're going to continue to make that a key driver for our business, so that we can separate ourselves from maybe the independent movers and junk haulers that might get started out there, or even our competitors in the franchise space.
That's terrific. You've had a number of accolades over the years too, Nick. I mean, it's a whole list. To give all of them would be impossible. But I know you've been voted the fastest growing company. You were in Inc. magazine. Entrepreneur magazine frequently has you as like the franchise opportunities in their publication. What is that all attributed to? It seems like there's a culture too. At College Hunks Hauling and Junk, in studying the business model, would you say?
Yes, absolutely. So culture is critical to any organization, and we've been able to, I think, develop a really world-class organization that is, creates a lot of vibrancy within it. And ultimately, if you can develop a great culture internally as an organization, your team members and employees are going to be happy. They're going to be delivering a positive experience for the actual end user, the customer. And I think that's been kind of the critical piece to some of the different accolades that we received. There's a little bit of buzz behind the story and magic behind the name and the color scheme, but because we can back it up with actual, employee experience and customer experience, I think that's what's created some of the media attention, some of the TV appearances and news articles that have taken place over the years. There was another book we read early on called The Purple Cow by Seth Godin. And he talks about if you're driving down a country road and you see a field of brown cows, you keep driving because you've seen that before. But if there's a purple cow, you're going to pull over and you're going to take pictures of it. You're going to put it on social media. You're going to tell your friends and neighbors about it. And so really what that means, he's saying you got to be remarkable. You got to figure out a way to stand out. So obviously with a name like College Hunks Hauling Junk and the colors, the bright orange and green, the brand itself sizzles, but we've got to have some stake within that, and we believe our stake is the company culture, our core values, our company purpose. That gets people, motivated to want to make our vision a reality, and not just come in and, for the junk haulers or the movers, just move people's stuff, or for our call center agents, just answer the phone. We want people to be passionate about what they're doing. So I think those are the things that have set us apart in an industry, quite frankly, where anybody could grab a truck and put a logo on it. So we've got to really do some intentional things to set ourselves apart. I think that's what's been the key.
Your history, Nick, one of the pieces of advice we've been giving to our listeners over the last decade is, to look towards the industry. This is a pretty big industry, right? I don't know what the numbers are, but are there any numbers as far as how big the industry actually is?
It is. So we've done some studies and found that the local moving and junk removal industry combined is approximately 11 to 12 billion with a B,
That's
billion
incredible.
dollars. And, so there's a lot of market share out there. There's really no major 800-pound gorilla that owns a big chunk of it, which is it's I think a fragmented industry that does have a lot of mediocre service expectations and service delivery. So that makes it ripe for opportunity. If you can provide a consistent brand experience, a consistent service experience, you're going to create that loyalty. And I always emphasize what I call the 3 R's: repeat business, referral business, and reputation online. And if you can really capture and master the loyalty from the community with those 3 R's, the business is going to grow and flourish, and you're going to capture market share. So we don't think we've even scratched the surface yet as a brand in the markets that we do service, but we do think there's a huge opportunity for us to do so in this industry.
One of the questions I'd like to ask someone like yourself when we have you on the show, Nick, is, what's been, and it's a tough question, one of the most interesting thing that's happened to you since launching the business? I mean, I'm sure you have 100 stories, so to narrow it down to one is probably pretty tough. But does anything stand out, since you've launched it?
One of the most memorable moments was actually we appeared on the very first episode of the very first season of Shark Tank on ABC.
Yes, I saw that.
And this was shortly after the recession, so we were still, kind of grinding our way through it. We had maybe 5 or 6 franchises in our system, and the recession in the housing market had crashed, and so we were worried if we were going to be able to make it through. And we had seen an ad in Inc. magazine looking for people to pitch pitch businesses for a TV show. And so we went on there, and we were actually at the time trying to figure out ways to diversify our income stream. So we were pitching a sister company. We were going to call it College Foxes Packing Boxes. And it was just an idea at the time, kind of silly, and in reality it never ended up working. But one of the sharks, Robert, made us an investment. He wanted equity in College Hunks as his collateral, and we made the hard decision to actually turn down that offer. And we didn't know what to expect going into the show because we had never seen it before. But what an experience to look back on, and certainly memorable. It reruns every now and again on CNBC on their their reruns, and so that was certainly stands out in my mind as one of those sort of like wow moments of business ownership where we were on national TV, and it's a show now that's been become hugely popular.
Right.
Sort of, I think, made entrepreneurship kind of at the forefront of pop culture. Yes. So that certainly stands out for me as one of those sort of unique and memorable moments in our business's history.
What the majority of our listeners, we call them aspiring franchipreneurs. What types of characteristics do you look for in your franchisees?
What I like to say is there's 4 F's when considering a franchise, which is also, I guess, starts with a letter F. So, there's 4 F's that come out of franchise. And I think this is what a prospective franchise should think of when they're considering what franchise they want to pursue. And this is, quite frankly, I think what franchisors should consider when they're evaluating a prospective franchisee. So the first F is fit. Do they fit? In other words, do they have transferable skills that can make them effective at this business? Have they done anything in their prior professional or personal lives that would make them be successful in this type of business? The second piece is the family side. In other words, does their family support them in them pursuing this endeavor, whether it's their husband or wife or kids or parents? Do they believe in them? Because you don't want things to get tough in their inner circle to say, I told you so. You want them to, kind of cheer them on to get through it. The financial piece is important. In other words, are they capitalized to be able to invest in the opportunity, and do they have realistic financial expectations? And then the last F is the fun factor. Can we have fun working with this individual? Franchising is very much like a partnership, even though that's not typically called that. You got to have, an alignment of vision and values to be able to enjoy working together. So that's really what we look for. We want people that believe in the secret sauce that we've already developed. We don't want somebody to come tell us that they think it should be done differently. We want them to tell us that they believe in what we've created. And sure, we would, want to continuously improve and encourage ideas, but we want folks that believe in the system and are going to execute the system rather than trying to shortcut success by doing it their own way. And I think that's, really no different in our system than any other franchise model that is going to be successful long term. They need to really take into account those factors.
That's great, Nick. We have this great quotes in franchising podcast. Anytime we hear, Michael Gerber's been in there a couple of times, but we're going to put that one in there because I haven't heard that in over a decade, and I think that's great advice to our listeners. It's really fantastic because it's true. I mean, you could really, your business, you could teach to anybody, couldn't you? I mean, pretty much, but it's interesting in putting those factors in there, like family support, and even fun. I haven't heard that, but it should be an enjoyable business. And, because it is a stressful situation for the customers, I guess you got to be able to put a smile on your customer's face, don't you?
Absolutely. And I mean, as you know, there's over 3,000 franchise opportunities out there. So, what's going to separate one from the other? It's got to be something that you can enjoy. And I guess I'll grab another F out of there. I'm on a roll here. Fulfillment. Is it something that, we're going to be fulfilled doing day in and day out? Because I think franchising is a lot like a gym membership. If you join a gym and you've got fitness goals, you're getting access to all types of equipment, personal trainers, coaches, workout groups, but you still got to go and show up and do the work. So if you buy a franchise, you're getting access to the business model in a box. You're getting access to trainers, coaches, fellow franchisees that you can, hold each other accountable with, but you still got to show up and put in the effort to execute that business model. So that's where I think those factors come into play.
Once you decide that, you do like them, and they like you, Nick, and there is a fit, what is the training like? I mean, do they typically come to Florida for training? How does that work?
Yes. So we do a week-long training at our headquarters in Tampa, and it's very interactive and hands-on and engaging. And it's really a train-the-trainer type model because I would say majority, if not all of our franchise owners, we never want them to really ever step foot on the truck. They're working on the business from day one, not in it. So we want them to have the mindset of I'm hiring the college guys to do the heavy lifting. I'm training these guys to be great representatives of my brand when they show up into people's houses to move their stuff. So that's really the way our training is focused on, is training our franchisees to be mentors and coaches and leaders that develop a team within their market to go and provide a great experience for the customer. So the week-long training, we start with just kind of an introduction to the brand and the culture, and then we go into the technical things like hiring and training, marketing and sales, the technical aspect of teaching their guys how to load and move items, and the IT side of the business and our call center and how they interact with that component of the business as well. So it's a week-long in-house, and then we actually provide field training within the first 3 months. We send out a ramp-up coach, we call them, to spend 2 or 3 days with our new franchise owners to make sure their sales and marketing is tuned in properly, to make sure they're executing the model that they learned at training. And, of course, we do ongoing coaching calls, webinars. We do an annual conference. We do other field visits throughout the year. So it really never training never stops. It's
That's
an ongoing process. It's not an event.
That's so important. You and Omar are working more on the business instead of in the business, but you know what a typical day is like because you were doing it for a long time, Nick. But how would you describe a typical day for a College Hunks Hauling Junk franchisee?
So a typical franchisee is going to be sort of like I said, the head coach or the general manager of their team. So they're going to get up in the morning, they're going to go to the office, they're going to print out the job sheets for that day, meet their crew that morning and give them their assignments for the day. So they'll give them the keys, they'll give them the clipboard, and they'll give them the job sheets. So the team will go out to do their work, and the franchise owner is then going to be, checking in with the team throughout the day, but really going out try to build more relationships with real estate agents, property managers, assisted living facilities, channel partners that could use our service on a regular basis. So that's kind of the activities that we want our franchise owners doing is networking and building relationships. It's not a sales role because you're not selling something they need today, but it's really sort of a relationship building role. And again, they might spend an hour during the day recruiting and hiring more team members to make sure they keep the bench deep and keep a field of A players that they can train and send out to be the movers and haulers. So really, I would say hiring and training and coaching is one key hat that the franchise owner wears, and then networking and relationship building in the community is probably the other key hat that the franchise owner wears, and that's what a typical day might look like, is sending the crew off to do their work, and then going out and building those relationships or recruiting more team members to continue to grow with the business.
That's terrific. I know you and Omar do a lot of, planning, and looking towards, the future of the franchise. What are College Hunks Hauling and Junk's plans for the future, Nick? I mean, where do you see the organization maybe 3 to 5 years down the road?
Sure. Great question. So, we expect to actually have more growth here in the next 3 years than we did in the first 12. And really that's a testament to our team and to our franchise owners that we have in the system. So we've got about 100 franchisees currently. We should have 200 within the next 3 years. And our system-wide revenue, currently is hovering around $80 million for this year, or should be around $80 million for this year, which will translate to an average of per franchise of close to $1 million in top-line sales. The majority of our franchise owners might own 2 or 3 zones. So we really want to drive our per unit revenue up to $1 million per zone. That's where we think we can get it from an organic growth perspective. So, that's really just the focus, is continuing to invest in brand development, continuing to invest in converting the leads that come through, and maximizing the service delivery. That's our vision. We don't want to get distracted with new shiny objects. We want to stay focused and continue to execute to maximize the opportunity of the model that we have in front of us.
That's terrific. You must get the question a lot, too. It's interesting because there's a story behind it, too, Nick, and I'm sure you get the question a lot, of working with Omar because he was your friend before all of this actually happened, What's that experience like? I mean, working with a good friend?
it is a blessing, a true blessing that we've been, best friends since high school, and business partners for over a decade. And so I've known him for almost, a little over 20 years. Wow. From time to time, we're told that we bicker like an old married couple, but that's because we've been with this business for so long. I think the key for any partnership has been that our vision and our values have always been in alignment, and we've always been able to communicate that to each other in a way where even if we disagree on a tactic or a strategy here or there, we're able to communicate enough to get back and just get back to focus and get back to the vision and the path that we're on. So it's been a lot of fun to be able to have that journey with somebody who started out as a friend. I know a lot of times you hear horror stories about family and friends that, kind of break up due to the business stresses that take place of entrepreneurship. But we've been, I guess, some of the lucky ones to be able to navigate through it. But I really do credit the vision and values being in alignment and the fact that we communicate so openly and trust each other so openly that, we've never had a breakdown in those key pillars of the relationship.
What's the best way for our listeners, Nick, to get more information on becoming a franchisee or even the service in general for College Hunks Hauling and Junk? I mean, is there any websites that you'd like them to go to?
Absolutely. So we have all of our information on collegehunksfranchise.com. That's collegehunksfranchise.com. And, we've got some great reports that help illustrate the industry and the opportunity behind this business model. So would love for the listeners to come check us out.
That's fantastic. I really enjoyed having you on the show, Nick. As I said, I've been following you, so I feel like I know you a bit, and following your franchise, so it's a privilege and an honor for me to finally have you on the show. And, I'd love to have you guys back as you continue to grow because I think you have a wonderful franchise opportunity.
Absolutely. Marty, thanks for what you're doing for the franchise industry and appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure, Nick. And we'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising. For each podcast, you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, Don and I have been hosting Franchise Interviews now for almost 2 years, with 100 shows under our belt, and during that time frame, we've had some incredible quotes from the guests that have been on our show. If you're a frequent listener to our weekly radio show, then you know what fans Don and I are of the great Michael Gerber, author of the very successful E-Myth Revisited and Awakening the Entrepreneur Within. What's even more amazing is how often Michael's name has come up from our guest in the past 2 years. So you're going to hear from the great Michael Gerber in just a moment. And for the first time on Blog Talk Radio, Franchise Interviews is giving franchisors a unique opportunity to sponsor our weekly radio show. You can have a professionally recorded commercial run on our live as well as archive shows. And here's a quick message from our sponsor, and then again the great Michael Gerber. Enjoy.
Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919.
Which, by the way, I'm now reading again for the second time. I recommend everybody out there, it's been a while since they've read the E-Myth, to read it again. It's really a great little refresher because people seem to forget about things over time, Michael.
I've got guys, I swear, Don, who tell me they pull out the E-Myth Revisited every year. Mm-hmm. One gentleman I spoke to, the founder of an extraordinary company, 1-800-GOT-JUNK, mm-hmm. who's a franchisor.
Right.
He credits the E-Myth with the creation of his company, and he credits the E-Myth with the continued vitalization of his company and the growth of his company. They now have a few more than 300 franchisees around the world. The guy is less than 40. He's the CEO of this company. He started by driving a truck, picking up junk, read the book, read the E-Myth Revisited, and suddenly saw the light. And the product of that is a company which last year did $147 million in gross revenue and has the expectation of reaching $1 billion in revenue in the next 8 years. So the man's on path, and he takes the E-Myth out every year and reads it again and insists that every one of his management team reads the book. And in fact, I'm the keynote at his annual event in March. So I'll be in Vancouver addressing 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Right. The show we had last week, Michael, with the CEO and president of a franchise opportunity called Desert Moon, Gary Okigrasso, he spoke about you for like 10 minutes during the show. I mean, it's just amazing the impact that you've had in the franchise community. I mean, your name comes up every other show.
Thank you. And, you know, I don't know 90% of these people, so I hear
be happy
for what this guy says and this guy says and that guy. It's really quite extraordinary to me because I don't know these people.
Exactly. I can't imagine, you know, what kind of fuel you have. I mean, I don't know how you go to bed at night, Michael. I mean, changing the story you told about, you know, the young gentleman, you know, being depressed and stuff like that. I mean, the kind of fuel that you must get from that kind of situation must be incredible for you.
It is. It's absolutely extraordinary, and life is simply an array of infinite options, and they're continually showing up. Absolutely. They're constantly showing up. I can't imagine how anybody could feel limited or deprived of opportunity when there is so much more opportunity than any single one of us could possibly deal with. And I see it every single day in my mind. There's one. Why doesn't anybody do that? Why doesn't anybody do that? It's extraordinary when you begin to experience the entrepreneur within, and anybody, any single person on the face of this earth can experience it if they begin the process right. And that's what I'm committed to.
Absolutely. And the title is great, too, Michael. You know, how you added, in addition to how ordinary people create extraordinary companies without any experience to guide them. You were one of those people. I think you referenced Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Michael Dell. I mean, all these guys really didn't have this significant experience in business. It was all based on a dream or their imagination.
Exactly. They had no experience in business. Bill Gates wasn't a business guy.
Right.
Bill Gates didn't work for a living. Bill Gates went to Harvard and then dropped out. Michael Dell didn't have any experience when he started his business. Nobody, no great entrepreneur has necessarily had any business experience at all. They simply imagined a result that they saw was absolutely needed in the world, and then they invented the answer to that problem in a business. Well, anybody can do that.
Right.
And in the book, Awakening the Entrepreneur Within, I take you step by step by step through the golden process through which any company can be started from scratch in your garage. And I'm essentially saying, if your car is parked in your garage, move it out and start a business.
Exactly, absolutely.
It seems like, Michael, top entrepreneurs are never satisfied. I mean, in Chapter 3 of your book, I thought it was great. You talk about you woke up one day and you had nothing to do. Personally, I mean, that's my dream, to wake up one day and have nothing to do, but just for a day before I get back to business. But, you know, of course, yourself being a top entrepreneur, you just weren't satisfied with that. You know, you had to, you know, take that next step and, you know, and do something great again, and that's what you did, obviously, with this book.
Yeah, well, and you got to understand, when I say I had nothing to do, I had everything to do, but I didn't have to do it.
Right.
In other words, I didn't have to go out and earn a living anymore.
True.
But I do. I didn't have to go out and speak anymore, but I do continuously. I didn't have to go out and write another book. My books are among the top 5 business books ever published in the world. E-Myth Revisited sells more books every year than it sold before. Wow. It's the most extraordinary phenomenon. So I didn't have to do anything.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.